Dr. Swami's party opposed to the use of marshals. Subramaniam Swami must answer the point that Abhishek Singhvi raises.
Kind of
why are you very deploy the marshals, throw these goons out? They have no place in our democracy.
One second, I am not on Subramaniam Swami or ABC. I am saying there has to be bipartisan support in the BSc, unanimously agreeing, yes, if marshals have to be used, we'll back the speaker.
You just said that the BJP backed away. The Congress wanted to use marshals, the BJP backed away. This is on record. Subramaniam Swami, can you tell us why the BJP is wary of using these marshals? Why should people like Sudesh Sharma and people like Ramesh in the Rajya Sabha be allowed to tear apart our democracy and make a mockery of this? How do you answer Dr. Singhvi tonight, sir?
Well, I think it's like using aspirin to bring down the temperature in a body. That doesn't go to the root cause of the disease. I've been to Parliament 5 times, and I find that these last 5 years, when I didn't contest for 2009, that there has been a deterioration, very substantial deterioration. And when I talk to some of the MPs whom I know personally, they do feel, and I think there is some substance in it, that the Parliament is no more responsive to individual members' submissions. It's become much more of party orientation. And there was a time when
but you're not answering Dr. Singhvi's direct question to you, sir. He says, why is the BJP wary of deploying marshals? Do you accept what Ramesh did? Do you accept what pepper spray Rajgopal did? Do you accept what Sudesh Sharma did? Why should they not be thrown out? Why are you justifying their hooliganism, Dr. Swami?
To what I'm saying, if you don't pay attention to what I'm saying, you will come to these ridiculous opinions of yours. I started by saying that it's like applying aspirin to bringing down temperature. So the marshal question will be just like that.
No, I think the problem is not a temperature. I think the problem is a cancer which has crept into Parliament and has crept into all the legislative assemblies. So neither aspirin nor crocin is going to help. What you need is chemotherapy. What you need is hard chemotherapy, and that I'm not seeing from any of the parties, Dr. Swami.
If there is cancer, you are very much a part of that cancer, because you give publicity to these things and they get translated to the electorate. And I find that
like if this is what you do, then what else does someone give publicity to? If the Telangana bill had been passed and debated today, that is what would have been the focus. The fact that someone is beating our people in the Rajya Sabha, someone is taking off his shirt, that is what gets discussed, because that is what is happening on the floor of the House, Dr. Swami. Your actions are to blame. Please don't blame the media here.
You gentlemen of the press, stop pontificating. There is a general malaise which you have to address.
How do you intend to address it? Dr. Singhvi laid out specifics about how this can be addressed. Apart from your pontification, do you have any specific points to counter what he's saying? Do you agree or disagree with what he's saying? If so, yes. Why? If not, why not?
Listen, if you want to go on speaking, you can go on speaking. Well, all Singhvi has said is he has proposed one solution, which I have already answered by saying it's like administering aspirin for high temperature.
Do you agree with that, Dr. Singhvi?
But there is a disease which...
There's cancer and you want aspirin, says Subramaniam Swami.
I didn't say cancer. I'm
saying cancer.
That there was a high temperature we want to bring down.
Oh, it's much more than a high temperature and a breakdown. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me remind Dr. Swami that high temperature does come down, at least for a while, with aspirin. It's no harm starting with aspirin, because in the absence of aspirin and while waiting for a sledgehammer, since the sledgehammer will never produce, at least the aspirin will work. Otherwise you are having neither the aspirin nor the sledgehammer, because there is no sledgehammer easily invented. And if you can't get a consensus or bipartisan support on aspirin, you can only keep on fantasizing about a sledgehammer.
You will not get it.
So I think we should start somewhere. Let me tell you. One minute.
You have got into a habit of administering sedatives. That's not a solution. Look at the mess you have made on the Rajiv Gandhi assassination.
There can be partial solutions. There can be partial solutions. There can be full solutions. According to me,
this is not a solution.
Proportionate withdrawal of privileges. No, 1 minute. If there is proportionate withdrawal of privileges for general disruption and use of marshals for physicality, it will have a dramatic effect in state assemblies and in Parliament. There is ultimately a time when the veto power of disruptionists cannot overrule the will of the majority. The majority keeps silent, but it is the majority, and like it or not, the majority reflects the will of the people. So you have to take that step.
Why should marshals not be deployed? That's a very important question. I want to go across to Gaurav Bhatia representing the Samajwadi Party tonight, because I have over here comments made by your leader Mulayam Singh at a rally in Gorakhpur, where he says the MPs created chaos in parliament because they had no option. Whatever they did was because of their anger against the Congress and the BJP. These parties have been trying to divide the country. The MPs who did all these things were anxious that they would have not been able to face their people had their state been bifurcated. Does that mean, Gaurav, that the Samajwadi Party supports and backs what Rajgopal and Prasad did? Is that what Mulayam Singh and your party is telling India tonight, that yes, taking off shirts is